Hello everyone, this is Gayle, and I'm back with another polymer clay tutorial. Today I'm going to make a kaleidoscope cane, and I know I've done some before using pre-made canes and various methods, but I don't think I've ever done this one. This is something that I learned at one of the polymer clay retreats down in Florida at Fandango. If you've never been to Fandango, you need to go. Just look up the Orlando Area Polymer Clay Guild. I believe their website is still oapcg.org, I believe. But anyway, I just thought this is, everybody likes to do kaleidoscope canes and they don't know where to start. And this one is pretty simple. The hardest part is going to be making Skinner blends. And I'm using souffle clay today. I'm using jade, sea glass, and canary. And I'm going to do Skinner blends. Of course, my white is primo. It's not souffle, but hopefully the two will blend well together. But I just like these three colors, and yellow and blue make green, so I know they'll go together. So I just thought I would pick these, and I've also got some scrap stripe canes here in black and white that I might put in there just for a little definition. So I'm not going to bore you with the Skinner blends, but I will show you how to get started. Just cut all of your squares, and it's easier if you do make a square. When you get a little more experience, you will see that you can fudge it a little bit, but I am assuming that, I know some of you probably know how to make a Skinner blend, but I'm going to just assume that there's somebody out there that doesn't. And even though I have a video out there somewhere, I've got almost 300 videos now, and it's hard for me to keep track of what I've done and what I haven't done. But I know I have shown how to do the Skinner blend. Now, whether it was a separate video or not, I'm not sure, but maybe I can research that before I upload this. But I've got everything cut into triangles, into right triangles, and I'm going to just flip these to make a double thickness. And it doesn't matter if they're perfect. That's one thing about polymer clay, is you don't have to be perfect. Maybe that's why I do so well at it, because I am definitely not perfect. So there's my triangles. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put these white ones and the color ones together. Now these are all rolled out at the thickest setting of my pasta machine. So, they're going to be the same thickness, and that's what you want. And I'm going to cut a little bit of the white. You notice I didn't put them together. See how I offset this triangle a little bit? Maybe I'll show you on a darker color. But I have these that are, here I've got all white, and here I've got all yellow, and then it's going to graduate into that. And I just try to push them together as best as I can on both sides. And before anybody asks, let me clean it off. This is a metal potter's rib. I don't remember where I got it. I'm thinking I got it at Polymer Clay Express, but I'm not sure. And the reason I say that is whenever we would have the Fandango in Florida, Polymer Clay Express usually is there. I don't know if they still are, but they were when I was going. But they were there and set up a store, so we could go to the store there and save on shipping, and they would bring all kinds of things, and I believe that's where I got this. But I do have, I did some research. Every time I use this, people want to know what it is. And I haven't been able to find individual ones, but I did find a set of the thin metal potter's ribs, and I've got them on my Amazon store. So if you want one, you can get the set, and you get all different shapes. It doesn't have to be this kidney shape. It's just a shape, the only shape that was available at the time that I got mine. Now here, let me show you on a darker, and I probably, what have I got darker that I can put this on so you can see? How about this? This has got writing on it, but maybe you'll be able to see. Move these out of the way. But this is colored, but is that going to help any? See how I've offset these a little bit? I've got some of the blue sticking out on this side and some of the white sticking out on this side. So that's what I want. And then I will just cut those points off. And that gives me the graduated color between the blue and the white. And this will be all blue, this will be all white, and in different shades in between. So I hope that makes sense to you. But again, you just press it together. And then flip it over. Because see, over here it's not pressed together. So I'll press it together on this side. Because there's nothing worse than going to all this trouble to get this stuff together, and then you put it in your pasta machine and it splits. Ask me how I know that. Right. It's happened to me. So I'm going to do the same thing with the green. And I'll just show you one more time that I'm going to offset. And I'm going to cut off the little points. And now I'm ready to run it through the pasta machine. Now to make a Skinner blend, you need to run it through the pasta machine at least 25 to 30 times, and sometimes even more depending on the clay. And this isn't going to matter, but I know there are some people out there that will probably freak out at having that little spot of black on my white. Doesn't bother me anymore. Donna Cato cured me of that. And it does make sense. Like I had that piece here and it was laying flat. Well, when you work with clay, you slice this way if you're making a cane, and that little black flick cut this way, you would never even notice that it was there. But I used to worry myself to death because, like, I don't know if you can see or not, but my white is not all white. I've got little flecks of color in it from where it's picked it up from the pasta machine. In this particular case, I don't need a perfect white. I'm not doing anything where the white is going to show. But I'm going to pause the camera now, and I'm going to blend these Skinner blends, and then we will start again. Be right back. Okay, I've got the green and the yellow Skinner blends done. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of do a little cutout and show you. I just figured that maybe there are people out there that really need to know how to do a Skinner blend, even though I've done it on video before. So I thought what I would do is I'm going to turn the camera, and you'll have to listen to the pasta machine, but I will turn it off. I'll turn the sound off when I put it into fast forward. But at the beginning of it, I need you to see what I'm doing. So let me see if I can move the camera without making everybody dizzy. Maybe I'll pick it up and move it over here. I don't know if I can get it over there far enough. There we go. That worked out well. Let me make sure I'm out all the way. There we go. This is my pasta machine. And you see, I've got this little magnet thing that I made. This is a magnet. It's a strong bar magnet, and I probably ordered it off of Amazon somewhere. But what I did is I just took some scrap clay and covered it. Not real thick because you want the magnet to go through. Then I took this part and just pressed it against my roller so that it made a curve. See how it's curved? And when you are blending clay, or anytime you keep rolling clay through and through and through, it will spread this way. So if you don't want it to be really wide this way, you need to block it. And that's what I use to block it. I've got several of them, plus I've got the little shark that is here. If I wanted it really thin, this is Dan Cormier's thing. I could put that in there, and that's another good 1/2 inch. But I don't need it that thin, so I just keep that. It's a magnet, so I just stick it on the side of my pasta machine. Sits there really well. So I'm going to take the blue and the white, and if you look, let me see if I can turn this so no, I can't see the camera lens or not the lens, but the window very well to see what I'm doing. This is my blue and white, and I've got my pasta machine set on the lowest setting, and in this case it's a 0. And you always, 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 and I keep emphasizing that because that's the only way you can mess up a Skinner blend, is if you end up putting it in this way by mistake. So you always put it in with 2 colors touching the roller. So here I've got the white and the blue touching the roller. If I go this way, I've only got blue touching the roller. If I go that way, I've only got white touching the roller. That's not what you want. You want to go the white and blue, the 2 colors, whatever they are, next to the roller, and then roll it through your pasta machine. And you see it elongated it a little bit, and I was lucky, so you can see it split a little bit down here. But I'm going to fold it, and again, fold it up where the blue is touching the blue and the white is touching the white, and put it through the pasta machine again. And you continue doing this, but always when you're folding, white to white, blue to blue, and through the pasta machine. Now this is all together pretty well now. It's gone through a couple times, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my pasta machine down to a number 3, which is the 3rd thickest setting. This time I'm not going to fold it because it's already thick. I just want to make this thinner. And then that's a prettier side. Then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold the blue on the blue and the white on the white, and I'm going to roll it through here. That's at the number 3 setting, and I know if you can see or not, but the blue is beginning to show through a little bit here. But you just continue doing this over and over and over. And you can see it better here, I think. You can see the stripes starting. Now the reason I do this on the number 3, and you can even go thinner if you want, is the thinner your clay is, the quicker it will blend. If I'd left it on the number 1 or on the 0, it would have taken probably twice as long to blend this. And as it is, I'm running it through about 25 or 30 times. So I'm always wanting to save time. So I just move it down to a number 3. But the process is the same. And I'm going to fast forward from here on out while you watch me finish with my Skinner blend. Okay, I'm going to stop here just for a minute. You'll notice that I keep turning. One time the blue might be next to my to the side of the pasta machine. The next time it might be the white side. I alternate back and forth because pasta machines are not perfect. And there might be a slight change in the thickness from one side to the other. and it sort of helps prevent those long tongues on one side. Not always, but if the reason you have the long tongue is because of your pasta machine being uneven, this kind of takes care of it. So I just wanted to let you know that before I went on. Okay, so you can see this still could use a little bit more blending. There's still a few streaks, but for our purposes, this is going to be fine. So I am going to move the camera back over here and hope I don't make people dizzy. There. That was fun. I haven't ever, well, I have moved the camera before, but I kind of was more confident this time. It may not have made it quite so shaky. So now you can see I've got these Skinner blends. Now these are all rolled on the number 3. So what I'm going to do, since the yellow one is so long, I'm going to fold this into 4ths. Of course, this makes it pretty thick, so I'm going to have to put my pasta machine back on the thickest setting or it'll ruin the pasta machine. But these two are a little bit shorter, so I'm going to fold these into 3rds. I ended up with that lump right there. I like to, well, let me do the flat side first. I like to put the little tongue end on the inside, but it's not going to work this time. Okay, so now I've got 3 Skinner blends this way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll them through the thickest setting of the pasta machine one time. Okay, this one kind of broke apart a little bit. It's kind of cold in my craft room today. Oh, it's too long a story to explain, but it's not quite as warm because I'm not using my radiator right now. I'm using my heat pump, and there's no heat exchange or register in this room. So now these are all rolled at the number 1 setting. So now I'm going to go back to the number 3, and I'm going to do these one at a time because they're going to get kind of long, and I want to make sure I have enough room to work. But I'm going to go through to number 3. You see how long that made that? Now I'm going to go down to a number 5. You should never move down more than 2 steps on your pasta machine. So if I was 3, the next that I would go to if I wanted to keep going smaller would only be a 5. So that's where it is now. It's on a 5. And you see that's made it a little bit longer. And normally I would go thinner, but I think for today this will be fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the white over to make it flat. Let me find my little acrylic block. There it is. When you get organized, you can't ever find anything. But I'm going to take this and let me roll, well, you won't be able to see there. Let me move it up. Let me come in just a little bit. I'm just going to push this roll. You see where I've folded this up? I'm just going to push this up just a little bit to start a little roll. Or if you really wanted to do it right, what you could do, although I've already flattened, well, let me flatten it back out, is cut a little piece of white and roll it into a little snake. Just make sure there's no air in it. This one has a little point, so I'll cut that off. And I'll lay that right on the inside, right on the edge. And what this will do is give me a good white center. And then I will, you can use your blade. You don't have to have a little kidney to do this. It's just this was handy. Start folding up your clay around the white. Make sure there's no air. And then take your acrylic block and start rolling. And roll a little bit and then pinch. And roll a little bit. And you pinch because if you look at this side, it's sticking out, and on this side, it's going in, and you don't want either. So if you pinch, you're kind of evening that out. And by this point, you can use your fingers. Just don't press too hard. And I'm going to cut this end off just because I want this to be smooth. Ordinarily, I wouldn't do that. But for you guys, I will. And this is going to end up having to be cut off anyway. But see, there is some air in there. See the little spaces? So I'm going to squeeze from the center out. Just to get rid of those little little air spaces. And I will cut this and see, I'm sure there's air spaces here too, because I wasn't really pressing hard when oh, this isn't as bad. But I will even it out anyway. And I'm going to squat it back down because I really want it short and stubby. So there's one. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other two, but I'm going to pause the video so you don't have to watch that, and I will be back in just a few minutes. I'm on my last one, and I was just going to show you the blue has plenty of white on the end, so I just fold it over the end again to make it a straight edge, and I'm just going to push up. And I use my other finger to support it. But I need to just push it up slowly. Because this is where the air gets in it. And just make sure that you've got a good roll started. And then you just go through again. And roll this one up. You'll notice up here the color isn't totally blended, but that's going to be okay. For our purposes, that's going to be fine. And I'm just going to roll from the center out. I'm going to cut this end off. And there are some people, this end was not quite as solid. There are some people that take these cane ends, because that's really kind of pretty. But they take all these different cane ends and make them into beads. Just put a hole through it with the different colors and make beads. Because I didn't have a pretty one in the yellow. These are the two I had from yellow, and neither one of those are as pretty, but you could do those. But that's one thing you can do with your ends. So now I've got 3 Skinner blends. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these in half. And I'm going to reduce one side of it. So just squeeze in the center, and then if you want to use your cane ends from Tiny Pandora, please do. It'll keep you from losing a lot of your cane. And since I started this without them, it's not going to be quite as easy, but I'm going to try. And then as your clay warms up, you can just start pulling. Not hard, you don't want to break it. But when your clay is warm all the way through, it starts to move, and you can tell. You can twist it to help. But what I'm going to do with this, I'll show you as soon as I get one done, and I'll do it to all three, but I'll just show you on one. Roll it down to where it's maybe a little more, maybe 3/8 of an inch, a little more than 1/4. And you can see how this is just pulling really easy now because everything's warmed up. I'm going to cut this in half. And I will use my square pears on this. Let's see, I think I'll use the medium ones. Only on one, but I'm going to make this square. I don't do this that often, so I'm not as in good a practice as Teresa is. But you'll see now I've got one that's a square. The other one I'm going to form into a triangle. And you can probably use these for that too, as far as making a flat side. Just tilt your square pear. So now I have a triangle, and I'll do this in all of the colors so that I'll have a plug, a triangle, and a square. And then we'll put it together in a cane. So I'll be back when that's done. Okay, I'm on my last piece. I'm doing the yellow, and I ended up switching to the smaller square pears because this really worked pretty well with the size of the canes, and it didn't slip as much, so it was much easier to make the little square cane. But I want to show you to make your triangle canes, and it's probably just common sense, but press down and make a point. So what you're doing here is you're getting the basic shape, and then it's going to be flat on the bottom. So then what you do is you turn it and pinch that corner, and that's also making the bottom flat, and then turn it again and pinch that corner. You might only have to do it once like this, or you can keep turning until you make sure, you've got it exactly the way you want it. But this is going to be fine. This is going to be your triangle. So okay, so I've got squares and triangles of all of our three colors. Now I'm going to cut the plug that's left in half, And I think I'm going to cut it into fourths. I was only going to do one of them into fourths, but I think I'll do all of them in fourths. The green really shows up the rings that you make when you roll the clay, roll the Skinner blend. Can you see those rings? And the thinner you go with your clay, like I went to a number 5. If I had gone even thinner, maybe to a 7 or a 9, you would hardly see those rings. It would be more solid looking. So that might be something you would think of. So now we've got all those. Like I said, I've got some scrap black and white. And I'm going to cut some of those off. This one I'm just going to cut flat down. And here come my dogs. Sorry, I need to go let them out. They're seniors and can't seem to hold it very well, so I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Having senior dogs is just as bad as having little babies. They just can't seem to wait. So anyway, while I was waiting for my dogs to come back in, I went ahead and cut my pieces because, see, I only had a little piece of the stub left. So this is going to be the thickness of our cane starting out. It will get, but we've got all these pieces, and we're not going to use all these pieces, not on one cane, but we can do other things. But let me start with, let's see, if you start and think, your kaleidoscope needs to be in a triangle shape. Let me just separate all these pieces before they re-stick. I've also got some white clay and some black clay. I've got some black clay rolled out at the number 1 and black clay rolled out at number 3 because we're going to use some of that to do some separation. So the thing is, we need to start with a flat bottom. So I'm thinking trying to think of how we're going to do this. If I do 2 of these, like I do a yellow and a blue, and then put a tiny little piece of black. So let me just put this, well, that's just about exactly the right width. I'm going to put this on one corner, one side of this one, and put black on one side of this. This one's a little bit smaller, so I'll have to trim it. And I'll trim this just so it won't look sloppy. I have a tendency to do things a little bit too quickly sometimes. I'm not very patient. So now, if I put these together like this, there's a black triangle there, and I can put a green triangle in there. Now normally I would be doing this way, but you can't see what I'm doing it that way, so that's why I'm doing it up on end. And I think I'm going to sharpen these corners a little bit. And you just kind of play. It's like putting together a puzzle. Now here I might lay one of these, and it's going to be too tall, so let me cut that off. And I think I'm going to lay this like right there on the bottom of that triangle. And then I might take a blue triangle and let's see if I want to divide it with black. I think maybe I do. But this is just where you get creative and you do it the way you want to do it. There. So this is going to be the bottom. So let me see. Let me put a yellow one there. May as well. Trying to make these the right size so I don't have to do so much trimming. Okay, now what? We could put one of these. Actually, I think I'm going to press this down. Kind of make it kind of flat instead of triangle shaped. And I don't want to put that there, so I need to wait a minute. Let me see, what else can I do in here? I might just put a piece of black and I'm going to lay it down for this. Come up that side of the yellow, across the black and white, and up that side of the blue. Now I'm going to need something down here, and I may just wrap that to begin with in black. This needs to be a little bit. All right, this is on a number 3. I'm going to run it through at a number 5 just to make it a little bit thinner, because I needed it a little bit longer. So what I'm kind of going to do is wrap this whole thing in black. And I may be putting too much black in it, but I feel like with these bright colors, if I don't have black in there, it's going to really mess things up. Okay, so I'm that. So now I've got some squares. Let me put a blue square here. And a green square right next to it. And I'm not going to put anything between them. Except this needs to be a little bit smaller. That's closer to the same size. And I really need something out here to make this wider since I'm going to be coming up in this direction. So I'm thinking a triangle. Or maybe, why don't I've cut these, but they're the wrong shape. This is the size I need. Let me cut this in half. And put one on this corner. And put one, let's see, I've got black on the bottom there, so I'll put black on the bottom here. And that will help widen this base a little bit. Okay, so now let's see. Let's go with a green one of these. Except I think I will again go back in and put some black on either side of these squares. They're pretty stuck. I just had my blade. There it is. So I'm just going to cut little strips about the size of these squares. And just use a little tool. Oh, pink. To put it in place. This one's gotten pressed up a little bit too far, so I'll just kind of squeeze that down in there. Oh, I thought I was going to have to trim some of that off. But anyway, that's where we are now. And I'm going to put another piece of this stripe cane here. Then I'm going to top it with a triangle. And I think I'll use the yellow triangle. There we go. And I'm going to, let me see. Excuse me a minute while I run this through the pasta machine. I rolled it through at a number 5, but I need to cut some square edges to get some of this other clay out of the way. But we're almost finished with the main part of it. Then after that, it's just playtime. Cut this whole piece off because I'm not sure how long a piece I'm going to need. But I'm going to come up here and down there. So there's our triangle that's going to make up our cane, our kaleidoscope. And this didn't cut very square. I say I can't use these because if I do it this way, the design is not going to be showing on the front. So I cut that one wrong. I just needed a little something here, and I thought just a little strip. Why don't I just do that? I'm just going to use 2 colors. She's going to destroy my craft room trying to get to me. I'm just going to do a white, a black, and a white, and I'm going to press that into this little crease here at the end. And now let me just get some of this moved aside. I'm going to be finished with my black. And finished with my white. These I'm not sure what I'll end up doing with. These I can make more canes. But there we go. Now what you need to do now is to start pressing and reducing. And you can do it a lot of different ways. You can set it up on its end like this and press down. And as you press down, it's going to come out this way. Just be sure you do it on all the sides. You see, it's already wider. But every once in a while you need to press the ends so they don't bulge out. Just got to remember where my bottom is. Just just be careful. This is not conditioned because this was clay I had sitting around and it's cracking, but the rest of it is okay. But just, you want to make it as wide as you can get it. I shouldn't have put clay that wasn't conditioned on the outside, but hopefully it won't make a big difference. Hopefully by pinching it, it will condition it. Sorry for I know this is kind of boring. Well, let's see where we are. That's kind of pretty. But I'm pressing in with my thumb, so it's what is that, a concave? So I need to flatten that out. I think I'll just use an acrylic block to flatten my sides. Need that mint again, don't I? But we need this to be long enough to cut at least into 3 slices. See if it's moving yet. Excuse me, let me go get a mint. I apologize for that. My air is so dry right now because of the heat being on. It's 27 degrees here right now. So my heat is running all the time. Let me continue to reduce this cane. I'm going to roll it just to keep it smooth on each side. And see if it's... The only problem I'm having is with this black and white that I put on the ends. It's not stretching very well. It's just cracking. So I'll remember that the next time. Plus that's probably Primo clay where everything else is souffle, which is, I'm not going to worry about that outside. If it cracks, it cracks. Maybe I can slice it where the cracks are. We need to get this into at least 3 parts. I'd like to have it out to here. So I've got to stretch it a little bit more. Just as you're stretching and turning, make sure you turn your cane so that all of it's being stretched at the same time, because it has a tendency to pull on the top part. I do believe, except for those stripes, it's beginning to move. Hallelujah. Okay. So I'm going to cut this off, since that's the goofy end, and I'm going to cut 1-inch segments. And there we go. Now they're still a little concave because of what I've been doing, but try to get them in the same orientation. Do green, green, and green that way. There. So they're all in the same orientation. Now is when you make your decisions. You can put them together like this. See how you like that. Or we can turn them all one turn to the right. And put them together this way, which gives a different look. That doesn't look right. Green, green, it goes this way. No. This way. Got to keep track of where you're putting your things. Now I kind of like that one. And then let's turn this blue to the inside. Turn this blue to the inside and this blue to the inside, and then put them together. It's really a toss-up. I think I like the second way better. So let's turn it back that way, and that way, and put them back together. Is that the one I liked? No, I think I'm going back to this one. That's the fun about this, is you can make, and if you use more clay, I didn't use a lot of clay, but I've still got plenty over here to make some more. But they'll never turn out the same. But what you need to do now is to get this. Actually, I'll try to cut it in half. And then push it together. And there is your kaleidoscope. Now you can continue to press with your acrylic squares to reduce it. Just make sure they all get pushed together. I've got 2 blocks, so I think I'll just press on opposite ends. But you can keep doing this to reduce it. And then, it'll get thicker, and then you'll be able to slice slices off, and you can make something out of it. But I kind of like this middle and the way it comes out from the sides. But that's your kaleidoscope cane. And like I said, I've got pieces now. I can make more. I'll probably need to make more black and white stripe canes, and at least that way they'll be fresh and they won't crack on me. But even though they were cracking, they still turned out okay as far as the design of the kaleidoscope is concerned. But let me come a little bit closer just so you can get a good close-up of what it looks like. There. Now, if I can get this small enough, I don't know if I can, I'll probably need to use more clay. I didn't want to have a huge cane, and I ended up having one that's not quite large enough. But I was thinking if we can get this small enough to fit on a bracelet blank, this would make a really pretty bracelet. But I'm going to continue working on this. But anyway, I just wanted you to see. This is the kaleidoscope cane that we made out of 3 Skinner blends and a black and white stripe cane. So hopefully you will get to play in with this yourself and make your own canes. Pick different colors. I don't know why I decided, I guess because it's so cold, I was kind of thinking spring. And it's only December and I'm thinking spring already. But this is beginning to, see, it's gotten thicker already. So I'll be able to get this reduced. But anyway, everyone have a great week. Make yourself a kaleidoscope cane. And I will see you again next Monday with actually maybe I won't. But I'll see you next time with another polymer clay video. Thanks. Bye-bye.